Game 3 between the Nets and the Bucks is tonight. I would imagine that this is a must-win game for Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks. If they fall down 3-0, the series is over, and I would imagine that they get swept. It already kind of looks like they're going to get swept. I mean, you don't lose the second game by 29 points and have a lot of confidence going into Game 3. And realistically speaking, I think we are seeing the exploitation of Giannis as a basketball player here, and I'll kind of explain why. Giannis is an athletic prowess. He's a specimen. He's incredibly gifted athletically, 7 foot tall, however many pounds, 240 pounds, give or take. I think he's great in around the rim, but he has not gotten a jump shot, and that continues to haunt Giannis throughout his career so far. And in a series in which, knowing what we know about the Brooklyn Nets, where we know that this team is not great defensively. They could have been historically bad defensively. I think they ended up around 23rd in total defense at the end of the season. But it's a team that is going to absolutely shoot the lights out. Even without James Harden in the starting lineup, you still have two offensive superstars in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and they will score the basketball on you. So when you need to catch up, when you need to keep up with a team like the Brooklyn Nets, and your main scorer, your number one guy is Giannis Antetokounmpo, a guy that does not have a jump shot and probably will never have a consistent jump shot. And even if he does develop a jump shot, does he have the confidence to take those shots? Because you see, the knock on Ben Simmons in Philadelphia is he does not have a jump shot. And even though we've seen the ability to shoot three-pointers at times for Ben Simmons, the mental click is not there. He's still hesitant to take those shots. And when watching this series here, and I've watched both games, even the Game 2 blowout, it reminded me a lot. The thought was going through my head of what James Harden said about Giannis Antetokounmpo a little over a year ago when they had their little beef during the All-Star game last season. It was in February of 2020, and Giannis jokingly said that he would rather draft Kemba Walker for his All-Star team as opposed to James Harden because Kemba Walker can actually pass. And while that was meant as a joke, James Harden didn't take it as such. And James Harden essentially responded with, well, I wish I was 7 foot tall and could drive the lane and dunk at will and just be athletically gifted like Giannis is, but I'm not. Being 7 foot and running and dunking takes no skill. The way that I play the game, I have to have offensive skill. I have to constantly work on my game. That's not a verbatim quote, but that's the general gist of what James Harden said in response to that. And at the time, it was kind of a jab to the mouth of Giannis. Giannis was a jab to the mouth of Harden. It was a back and forth. But 1 year later, what we have seen in this series so far, and again, the Nets have known to be all season to be an offensive powerhouse team, bad defensively, but if there's one team that would have been able to stop the Brooklyn Nets from getting out of the East, it was the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Milwaukee Bucks are just floundering, and they're being absolutely destroyed by the Nets so far in the series because, as James Harden said over a year ago, Giannis is an athletic specimen, but he's not a skillful basketball player. He's not the worst basketball player. You do see some good basketball tendencies in his game. He's not the worst, but when it comes down to it, when you need an offensive bucket to be able to keep up with the Brooklyn Nets, who is going to get it for you on that basketball team? Is it Giannis? Probably not. Is it Chris Middleton? Probably, but he's been playing not so well the first couple of games. Neither has Drew Holiday. And again, it's not all on Giannis so far. Drew and Chris need to have better games in order to be able to keep up with the Brooklyn Nets, but Giannis is the superstar of this of this Milwaukee Bucks team. He's going to get most of the attention, he's going to get most of the praise, and he is going to get most of the criticism as I am applying to him right now. Giannis Antetokounmpo reminds me a lot of Russell Westbrook, and Russell Westbrook has been playing in this league long enough that we as casual basketball fans can rationally understand what Russell Westbrook is. Russell Westbrook is an athletic specimen, just like Giannis is. He's probably the most athletic point guard to ever play the game of basketball. Nobody plays the game with as much enthusiasm, with as much passion, with as much energy and violence, I would say, as Russell Westbrook does when Russell Westbrook is 100% healthy and playing his heart out. Extremely high motor, but We have been watching Russell Westbrook long enough to know that he is not an efficient offensive player. He is not going to be able to hit down that shot more often than not when you need it, as opposed to somebody else on the team. That's why Russell Westbrook is never the first offensive option on most teams. He's the facilitator, he's the rebounder, he's the triple-double guy that's going to get all the headlines and break all the records. But offensively speaking, we have seen his game decline enough over the years to say, okay, Russell Westbrook is an athletic specimen, probably the most athletic point guard to ever play the game, but he's just not that efficient offensively, and that's what hurts him. That's probably what's going to prevent him from getting a championship his entire career unless he piggybacks off a couple of other superstars, like the Brooklyn Nets. So we know that about Russell Westbrook, and I see similar traits in Giannis, and I think we are slowly seeing that develop over time, because it doesn't matter, who they are playing. If Giannis can't out-bully that team, or he can't keep up in terms of scoring and, physically dominate that team, they struggle and they lose out of the playoffs. The Miami Heat team last year, tough defensively, very well put together chemistry-wise, very hard-working team, not easy to bully, removed in 5 games. The year before that, you run into the Kawhi Leonard-led Toronto Raptors team, a very well put-together team. Kawhi Leonard, a stalwart defensively, one of the more clutch playoff performers that there is in the NBA. You lose in 6 games, I believe. I think you lose your last 4 as well. The trend is starting to get there, where Giannis, again, is the 7-foot version of Russell Westbrook, and we need to start realizing this, that he is an athletic freak, but unless he does not develop a jump shot, and even if he does develop a jump shot, because as I said, you see people like Ben Simmons develop a jump shot, but still be scared to shoot the basketball. Even if he does develop a jump shot, he's never going to be that offensively efficient to be able to deliver a team to a playoff series victory in an NBA which is clearly dominated by offense. That's kind of just the way that it is. James Harden, even though he made those comments a year ago, was absolutely right about Giannis Antetokounmpo. You wish you could be 7 foot tall, run and drive the lane and dunk it with ease and just be athletically gifted, a creation of God if you believe in one. You can be that, but it takes serious skill to play the game of basketball. And I think that's a major difference, and that's what sets basketball apart from, other big sports in America like the NFL, in which athleticism in itself is a skill that can be exploitable. And athleticism is oftentimes preferred to mechanical skill at the sport. But when it comes to basketball, skill is incredibly important, and we're seeing more and more how guys with high motors, with incredible athletic ability, cannot keep up and cannot produce enough offensively in an NBA in which offense is the king. Offense is what's going to win you championships. Hey folks, thank you so much for listening to this segment from the Hard-Headed Sports Podcast. If you enjoyed this segment, make sure that you drop a like on the video and a comment. It helps me out a bunch. And if you're interested in watching more segments like this from the show after the show has been completed, you should definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you're interested in listening to the entire show in its full-length entirety, you should listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. Once again, thank you so much for watching the video. My name is Nick Ryan, and I will see you all again very soon.